Welcome to the Village Well podcast, brought to you by Village Well Books and Coffee in downtown Culver City. Welcome back to the Village Well podcast. I'm Jennifer Casper, your host, and I'm pleased to be joined this afternoon for this introduction with our producer, Josh Stretton Carlson.
How's it going, Jen?
It's going good. Today's my day off, but I came in to do this and have one little meeting. It's been a great Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, totally. I can't believe it's almost June. It's
I know.
Crazy.
Summer's here.
I feel like it was January 2 weeks ago.
It was. One of the cool things we did this weekend was we had story time on Saturday morning, and the author we had in was Lil Miss Hot Mess, who's a drag queen, and she does drag queen story time, which is a thing. There's a national organization which gets drag queens to do story time. It was so fun. Lil Miss Hot Mess has actually written 2 children's books. So she was reading her second one, which just came out. It's called Make Your Own Rainbow, A Drag Queen's Guide to Color. And she's just so colorful and fun. And she did these fun like dance moves that the kids were all getting into, like shimmy, 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 shimmy. And
the kids were so into it. It was awesome to see.
Yeah, it was so fun. We had one email that told us from a customer who was sad that we were doing this event, which really got under my skin. This person said, that she thinks children are innocent and that we shouldn't indoctrinate them with events like this. And I really want to talk more about what this drag queen story time is, so that people can understand and break down whatever their misconceptions are that they think it would be inappropriate, because it's just really pure joy. It's like, someone in costume doing over the top makeup and reading stories to kids and, talking to them like children. There's nothing like sexual or inappropriate that way about it. And
it's an art form. It's a celebration. It's a performance.
Yeah.
And,
it's an art form that happens to also be done at other places and other times of day in a way that you wouldn't expose children to. But when it's done for story hour, it's just a celebration, like you said.
Totally.
Yeah. And a celebration of the diversity that exists within all of us. So we've invited her to come on as a guest on the podcast. So before the end of Pride Month, we'll have that conversation. And I'm really excited to bring that forward.
A great episode too. Tune in to the YouTube version of that one, because that's going to be very colorful.
Yes. We're catching her on a day when she's going to Santa Monica Pride. She'll already be in drag, and so we'll get her in her full regalia. Like she had on this like glittery blue dress with pearls at the collar and poofed up hair. It's just gorgeous and very like a luxurious thing to take in.
Totally.
Another thing I'm excited about is we are going to start a poetry group finally here.
Oh, sweet.
So we've never had a poet. We have all kinds of book clubs, but we have never had a poetry group. So we've got 2 booksellers, Akosa and Neema, who are both really big poetry readers. They love it. They take a lot of joy from it. And so they came together without my asking, but they just came together and decided that they wanted to do this and found a date. And it's launching June 4th, and they're going to be discussing Maggie Nelson's Something Bright Then Holds. I think you'd want to just pick up the book and spend some time with it. You probably don't have to read the entire book to get something out of coming to the group, but, I wish I loved poetry more than I do. Sometimes there's a poem that I'll happen to spend a lot of time with, and then I'll come to love its words and they'll mean something to me, but I just don't have the patience to sit down and read poems or read a book of poetry. Yeah.
I think I found my way to it kind of backwards from really loving song lyrics.
Yeah, music.
And then kind of getting into it that way. Yeah. But they know so much about it, and I think it's going to be a really cool group of people.
Yeah. And I think we're going to find a lot of community members who are interested in poetry who come out for that. Totally. So I'm so excited for that. So today's interview on the podcast is so fun. This is such a good one.
We had a great conversation. Brett and Neema, 2 of our staff members who are both creatives in their own right, and they sat down with Anneliese Judge.
Anneliese is an actress. Mm-hmm. She's on the TV show Sweet Magnolias, and she's the same age as them. They're all 23.
Yep.
Yeah. We interviewed her because she has a book club.
Right.
And so her book club, which is called Who to Judge. So it plays on her name, her last name, Judge. But they get into discussing, like, why did you choose that word judge? And, because there's a lot of judgment that goes into people's reading tastes, thinking like, oh, this isn't something that's worthy of reading or worthy of talking about if I read it. And so I really enjoyed listening to that conversation.
Totally. And we also got into Sweet Magnolias is a book adaptation into a show. And we talked about how books get translated onto the screen, how visual medium kind of changes things. So there's a lot of interesting pieces there.
Yeah. It'll be fun to watch what Anneliese does because she's following a path. Reese Witherspoon has a book club. She's the one who created this path and has really like made it into like a model of something you might do. Have a book club, highlight books, and then, look for books that you could adapt into projects that either you work on or, in Reese's case, she does it to find projects that have a lot of roles that are great for female actors. And, maybe Anneliese is the next Reese Witherspoon.
There we go.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, hopefully so. And Brett and Neema can be writing screenwriters for her.
There we go. Village Well Production House. Well, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
Hi, everyone. This is the Village Well podcast. I'm Brett.
I'm Neema.
And today we're joined by a very special guest, Anneliese Judge. Anneliese is an actor known for her role in Netflix's Sweet Magnolias, based on the books by Cheryl Woods as a fan favorite character, Annie Sullivan. Sweet Magnolias just released its 4th season and was renewed for season 5. Congratulations.
Thank you.
She is also the founder of the Who to Judge book club, which celebrates reading as a judgment-free activity. Anneliese, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. I know earlier before the cameras started rolling, we were talking a little bit about like Meisner technique. And so I was wondering, did you go to acting school? And just tell us a little bit about your journey to like the screen and your journey with reading and all that.
Oh man, yeah, I did. I went to a studio. It was like a private training studio in North Carolina. And that sounds like really serious. Like it sounds really like, which the training was serious. I love them. It's in studio in North Carolina. That's like the plug. But I actually didn't know that I wanted to be an actor. I'd always loved reading. I was a huge reader as a kid. My family, it's a family of readers. My mom loves to read. My dad loves audiobooks. So I kind of grew up around storytellers and loving the art of storytelling. And so I was on the way to the mall. I was 13 and I was going with a friend and we stopped by an acting studio and I was watching Drew Matthews, the head coach, teach a class. And I just was like enthralled by the way like they were bringing this piece of paper, these words to life. And it felt the same way that I read books. It felt just like it jumped right off the page and I could see it in my mind the way that just what they were expressing. I thought it was the coolest thing. And there happened to be an agent watching the class and she was watching me watch the class and approached me after and was just like, hey, like, have you ever been interested in like acting or modeling? And I was like, no, honestly, no. And so we talked to my parents and we met with the agent and I ended up signing with them for modeling. And in modeling, you like to be able to make great faces and be a very expressive person. So I also started acting classes and I did a few like regional non-speaking commercials and like some modeling shoots, all very like local things though. And so then when I got the audition for Sweet Magnolias, I was 17 and it was not my first big audition, but like booking it, I was like, oh, okay. I went from like being on a set of like 10 people and like having no lines to being like, wow, you're in every single episode and you have to move to Atlanta. So my parents helped me like talk to my teachers and I definitely couldn't have done it without my parents. They were so supportive and like helped me with this transition. But yeah, I moved to Atlanta and we filmed the first season and then I went back to North Carolina and I went to college for a little bit and wanted to explore consumer apparel and retail studies. And I've kind of always been all over the place when it comes to my interests and just exploring them one at a time and trying to be open about those kinds of things. But yeah, then we were renewed for season 2 and then season 3 and season 4 and now season 5. And so it's been crazy because I never expected that. I never anticipated it. And I think I was super lucky that the people on our show had just like embraced me. And I think of now exactly like how green I was and like how nervous I was. But I don't think that my performance would have been what it had been or the comfortability that I felt on the set would have been what it was without every single person who like totally was like, yeah, you're here for a reason. And like, yeah, you haven't like done a ton of stuff or really anything, but like you've been training for now like 4 years, 5 years, and you've been putting yourself in the position to be here. And so, yeah, I just like fell in love with it, and acting has been like something now that I like can't imagine my life without.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds like such a like a whirlwind. Did you feel like a lot of imposter syndrome at the beginning, and was it like just like what am I doing here kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I was so nervous. I think even now watching it, and this is something I've been told, which I don't know if I believe yet. I feel like I still deal with imposter syndrome all the time. But I've been told that my nervousness like plays very well on camera, and especially because Annie's journey, she was like growing up and finding herself within her art. I feel like I was on a very similar journey. I'm still on a very similar journey. And so like it all kind of lended to the character in a really natural way. And so I almost like to think that that's what like the team had seen in my audition, was just this girl who was on the same journey, and I was open enough to being able to explore it on a camera and with someone else's words, which in a way almost I feel like makes it easier when you're exploring feelings, because it's like I don't have to find the words, like I just have to say them in a way that feels real to me and resonates with the conversation that we're having. But yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like imposter syndrome has been a huge part of my life. So has anxiety and feeling the need to prove myself and prove my abilities and all of these things. I mean, I think, yeah.
Do you feel imposter syndrome, Neema?
Often, yeah. Especially like in the sense of like also living in North Carolina for a good amount of my life. I think it's like it's kind of difficult to like feel like you're like, you know, like really good at something when that's just like not the like way of life there, you know? It's not, I guess, the most like creative space in the world. So you get a lot of people being like, well, you should get just like a real job, like, you know, like you should get a regular job. And you're like, am I good enough to like try? Like, I don't know. But I think as you keep creating, you kind of find a confidence in it.
Yeah.
Growing up on the East Coast, which I did too.
Oh my gosh.
I'm from Virginia, so like
Really?
right there also. But similar thing, like no one was into arts, and I was like, oh, maybe I'm good at this. And then I moved to New York, and I was like, oh, everyone's good at this.
Yeah, everyone I know is really good at this. Yeah.
No, I was thinking that I feel like it's also a challenge that not everybody talks about, is like having supportive people around you, but people who are still like worried, and them like putting that worry on you in like still a supportive, loving way, but the worry like comes from a loving place. How that also really affects the way that you think about things, and especially when it picks at a certain place of self-doubt in your mind, it's a little like, it can be overwhelming. Like my parents, absolutely, because my dad works at Fort Bragg. He was in the Army, and now he works in a civilian position on base. But my mom is a teacher. Before that, my dad worked at a power company when I was growing up. My mom was a waitress. Like they have always had very like, not normal jobs, but like normal career paths. And so it was really hard for me to be like, hey, I'm going to go live by myself at 17. Like I'm going to basically move by myself. And of course, like I always had a different guardian for work, being a minor, but like on the weekends and stuff, I was by myself. My parents had to go back to work. Like any uncle or aunt who flew in to be my guardian, like they couldn't stay the whole time. And so it was very new for everyone in my life. And being from a really small town in North Carolina, it was like, no, this doesn't really just happen to people. They don't go do this. And so I think there was also the imposter syndrome of people in my town who were like, how did you get discovered? Like as if I was just like picked off the street. And it was hard to feel like I had to justify the work that I had done to get to that position. And then it almost like circled back to being like, wait, but like, was I just picked off the street? Like, I don't know. And so, yeah, it's all those things of like, the loving like worry that you get, that you're like, oh yeah, like what if this is it? Like this was we get one season and then that's like great. I just like didn't go to school, or I did, or I, you know, like how do I base my life off of this one thing? Because acting, like as everybody knows, it's just such a like a fluctuating career. Like you never really know when your next job is going to be. So it's hard. It took a while for my parents, I feel like, to be more comfortable with the fact that like I like am okay with that, and because I'm okay with that, like they're okay with that. They know that I'll like take care of myself, and that I won't like hide it from them if I need them to help me with something. Like I feel like it's just been such a huge learning opportunity though, and I feel like I've grown so much. Like looking at myself now when I was 17, I'm like, oh, I was such a baby.
I know. It's really crazy to think about too, because I also moved out at 17 to Atlanta to go to SCAD, and
Oh my gosh.
it's so we have very similar stories actually. I'm realizing
This is crazy.
I'm like, wait. But then moving to LA too, like it's like you said, like that place of worry is like valid, you know, they just want you to be okay. But then when you're like, no, but I can do it, like I can really like, and then you're like, can I do it? Like when you're actually out here, because like you were saying, like everyone is good, like so many people around you are so talented, especially when you're in the arts. Like when you're in a bubble of being like, okay, no one around me is creative, so everything that you do feels so huge, you know, like it feels so massive and incredible and like this huge impressive feat. And then when you learn that people have been like doing it their entire lives and have been like training for it, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I feel like so much of dealing with imposter syndrome, the problem with it is it takes so much like external validation to get over it, and external validation is not something you can control at all. It's just been like such a weird journey dealing with that. I'm curious how you've been dealing with that.
Like with needing external validation.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I still do. Like I think oftentimes, because especially as a writer, you're kind of just like in your own head always. Like you never really get outside opinions unless you share what you're working on, you know? Like, is I think like, you know, not the same, but like with acting, you can see it, you know, like you can see your performance and like the way that people react to it and like the way that you feel when you're watching yourself and if you're connecting to your character. But I feel like because you can kind of write in a vacuum, it's so easy to like not share like with other people. So then when you do, it feels like you just kind of like ripped your heart out of your chest and put it on a plate for them. And like you have to just like let them read it. And I think the only like, because you're always in that vacuum, I'm always like, I don't even know if this is good. Like this could be the worst thing ever written by anyone in the world. And
then you're thinking like, how dare I try to be a starving artist? Like, am I good enough to do that? Like,
it's I could literally go back to North Carolina and be fine. Like, like, why am I even doing it?
But I feel like everyone has those thoughts. The amount of times that I've been like, maybe I'll just like go back to North Carolina, go back to school, do something different. Like, I don't know,
have a quiet life.
live a quiet life, do like knitting or something. Like, I don't know. I feel like I totally understand what you're saying. I feel like art is such a subjective thing that like it's hard not to be like, well, I thought it was like, okay, like, I bet I did pretty good. Yeah. But I think it's also super comforting to hear that other people are doing that. Like, and not in a way of like, misery loves company, but like, it's nice to be like, oh, we're like all in this together. There's some camaraderie and like, yeah, it's like really hard because like you said, there's so many really good people. And I feel like I realized that at least with acting, like when you're under 18, you're also competing with people who are over 18 to play younger. And, I feel like it was like almost harder because then as a minor, you needed a guardian and that's like more expensive and all these things. And so I feel like now though, it's like you said, people who have trained forever their whole lives. It's funny. I heard this is maybe unrelated. I just thought about this though. You could go into an audition and if you looked like the casting director's like ex-girlfriend who they like hate, it's like, you're not getting this job. And it's just like,
very true.
You can go and you can put your heart out and you can do the very best you can do, but there are just certain things that are not in your control. I was up for a movie one time, this was a couple years ago, and because I was like, I think it was, I was like, there was 1 inch that made it where like they were like, ooh, our leading hero is like not like his height and your height are just like not gonna work. We need somebody like an inch or two shorter than you. Oh and I was like,
they couldn't have given him an apple box or
something. I know. I was like, this is kind of crazy. He could have
had platforms.
I know,
anything.
But it was just like, I remember it feeling like the biggest deal ever. And I was like, what? why? Like, why didn't I have been like,
You're like, I can
an
slouch.
inch or two short? I know. I was like, I often have terrible posture. So I know I'm saying I'm 5'5", but I can be 5'3". Like, don't you worry.
Any day.
Yes. I was like, right now, actually. Yeah. So I think there's just so much that's out of your control. And I'm sure in writing too, there are certain things where it's like, it's just like it can be like the most amazing thing ever, but if it's not what this certain person is looking for, like
Exactly.
it's just not the time. But I don't know, that doesn't mean that it's never going to be the time. And I think that's the hope that carries everybody through life. They're like, yeah, like
I think it's
I'm
crazy
here.
how you can also be like not proud of something, but because someone needed it when they saw it, they can really love it. Like, I think that's really cool to know, is that even if you're like, I don't know if this is my best work, if it touches someone else, I mean, that's what art is for. Like, I think, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I
No,
think
what? Oh my gosh, no, that was so good. I agree. I think that's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. You said earlier that you were like a big reader when you were younger. Do you remember what was the first book that you like ever really loved?
I feel like I remember my elementary school library was like my place. There was this huge carpet on the floor of the Hungry Caterpillar, and we would sit on it every single morning. We had like story time, and it was amazing. So I don't feel like I remember though like any of those books, but I do remember loving The Mysterious Benedict Society. That was probably the first book I was like, this
Josh
is
is
good. And it felt like a really big book at the time, and I had to like sometimes look up some of the words. So to finish it, I just had this huge sense of accomplishment. I was like, I read this.
That was the one with like the girl whose power was she could measure anything.
I know it was these kids who they each had like a really unique power in that way, like something that they were really good at, and they went and they took this test. And
Yeah, I remember the test.
yeah,
There's a
they
kid
had
named
to-
Sticky.
yes.
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. So somebody had the power to measure. But yeah, I just thought that it was really cool and just a really unique story. And I still think about it. I saw it in the Book Den in Santa Barbara a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, nostalgia. Like, this was so good. I love this book. I want to read it again. Then I'll know for sure.
Yeah, it's so exciting seeing like a childhood favorite book in a bookstore and just like leafing through it and being like, how do I not remember any of this? But you still remember like the feeling of reading it. I think it's like one of the most magical feelings there is. But also like when it has like a different cover and you're like, this isn't my baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
honestly, the new Hunger Games covers, I'm like, they're so pretty, but that's not what I read when I was 11.
Yeah. What is your favorite like first love?
Percy Jackson.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Those were good.
Those are, I still read them. they're really good.
I get it. Yeah.
They're so good.
Yeah, when I was a kid, Percy Jackson was like my origin story, both for reading and writing. Like it was the first book series that I really loved. And after I read it, I started writing my own novels that were just Percy Jackson ripoffs with my cousins. And I like quickly emerged as the writer of the group because I'd always be like, guys, where are your pages? And they'd be like, leave me alone.
Have your sides ready. Come on. Can you please pitch us your childhood novel?
No. Anyway, it was
Got it.
called the Legend series. It's called the Legend series. That was my Facebook password for a really long time.
Don't tell people
Is it
that.
still your Facebook?
No.
I feel like you should change it.
He's gonna have to change it after
Josh,
this.
you have to cut that.
I know. You have to make sure that like it's still not your password of like anything. Those accounts that
Yeah,
you made
nothing-
like years and years and years ago. You got to be careful with that.
You're gonna have everything.
I
hacked.
shouldn't have said anything.
I know.
Don't tell
Anyways.
people that that's your password.
Anyways, what was the impetus? What was the impetus behind deciding to start your own book club, and what are your ambitions and hopes for it?
Well, I started my book club because I felt like I had really neglected my love for reading. I do feel very strongly that when life gets busy and things feel more important, which like, okay, some things are, we just kind of put our love and those simple pleasures and those things that we do for ourselves on the back burner. And I found that I did that with reading. I could not remember the last time that I read a book for fun. And it made me really upset. And it was around like New Year's Eve and everybody was talking about resolutions. And so, which I love. I don't know why I said that. Like, I don't love them. I love New Year's resolutions. But I decided that I was going to make one for myself where I wanted to read one book every month for the whole year of 2023. I made a little Instagram account, as one does, and it was more so for myself to hold myself accountable, because I am someone who loves like group workout classes. Like I need other people to like help motivate me to do something and to keep up with it. And one book a month sounded super reasonable to me. And so I just started posting about it, and it was kind of like, hey, I'm just going to post random pictures of the book and the places that I'm reading, and maybe I'll talk about it. And if you happen to be reading this book, or if you wanted to pick up the book too and read with me, then I'd love to talk to you about it. And so that was kind of the first year of the book club. And some months I posted more than others, and it was just kind of a really fun thing. And then the next year I decided that I would really make it into a book club, and we started like I would interview, well, I guess I wouldn't interview the author right then, but I would post like question posts, those little like boxes you can do on Instagram, and polls, and just really starting to have more of like a structured conversation. And I started to join other book clubs at that time too. And what I found was that when there was too much structure and it felt like homework, I like wouldn't do it. Which is funny because I was a great student growing up. I think that might be because my mom was a teacher at my school, so I like felt like I needed to for her. Yeah. But I'm not a homework person, or it's like if you have to do something, it's like, no, I don't. Like what? Yeah. So if it was too structured, I would either fall super behind, and then I would really rush to like finish the book, and I wouldn't even really enjoy it just so I could talk about it, or I wouldn't read the book because I wouldn't finish it, and then I would give up and be like really sad that I didn't finish it and didn't get to talk to everybody about it. And then I'd miss the next book and the next one after that. And so I was like, I feel like we need a book club where there's not really any rules. Like if it takes you like a week to finish the book, or if it takes you 2 weeks, or if it takes you like 2 years to finish this book, like someone's still going to be here to talk to you about it. There's still going to be posts here for you to go back and catch up and like do your own writing. And that was kind of what made the book club into what it is today, is just the need for something that was way more flexible. I travel a lot, which is great, but it's like I can't really do in-persons in that way. And there were so many book clubs that were like, oh, if you miss like all these meetings, like you can't really like be a part of the group. And I was like, I can't always do this. And it takes the fun out of it. Yeah, it just takes the fun out of it for me. And so I wanted to create a place because I didn't feel like I had found a place where people can just read for fun and read with other people and enjoy the stories. And if there's an adaptation, we can watch the first episode. With Lessons in Chemistry, we read the book and we talked about it. And then I was like, okay, at this time, I'm going to watch the first episode. If you're free at this time and you want to watch the first episode, we'll talk about it on Threads. And so that's what we did. And it's been really fun. And I feel like then I grew it into, talking to the authors and hearing about the mind behind the stories and what it means to them, because I feel like that's where my love for acting even started, was the books that I was reading and acting them out with like my brothers, or making my little brother like be the other person in the scene. Yeah, like in Percy Jackson, I'd be like, you're supposed to like stab this guy. Like, what are you doing? Like, yeah.
Is your little brother an actor now?
He is an actor now. Yeah, he just had a really cool audition the other day, and I like try to make it a point to like call him and be like, okay, like how did it go? But not in a way that's like,
you trained him for this.
It's been fun. It's really fun to see, like, he gets it easy though. The youngest sibling, I feel like, is always like the parents are more lenient or whatever. And now, like, if he had to drop everything and move to another state, he's 17, my parents would be like, all right. Like, it would not be a big deal the way it was when I wanted to do it. Like,
yeah, I'm the younger sibling, and it's definitely
I'm also
true.
a younger sibling.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been fooled. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, no, you got screwed over. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it's just really interesting.
But yeah, you've also said before that like something that's important. I mean, it's called Who to Judge, so it's obviously like there's this theme of judgment, and there's the classic like don't judge a book by its cover. So it seems like it's very much so about like don't judge people for their takes, their taste, the speed at which they read, which you talked about. I'm curious, like, aside from just being like pretty busy, where did that conversation about judgment arise from? And have you ever felt judged for any aspect of your relationship to reading?
For sure. I feel like it might have been kind of what we were talking about with imposter syndrome. I feel like for a while I did, especially in that first year where I was only reading one book a month for the whole year. I was like, can I call myself a reader? Like I was when I was a kid. You couldn't pry a book out of my hand, but like you see on Bookstagram and Book Talk, like people reading like 500 books a month or something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you're like, whoa, like that's a reader, but am I a reader? Like, and I think it was just this question of like, when could I tell people that I love books? Like, do I love them enough? Like, do I? And so I think it is like, I've definitely felt like my own judgment towards myself about those kinds of things. And I don't think necessarily anyone else has really been like, oh, she's not a reader. She only read like 3 books this month. Like, how could she? But no, I think that I have so many friends who love to read, and I love to read different books and they love to read. But I think it's like we can still talk about the stories. We can still talk about what we liked and maybe what didn't hit home for us. And we can still have a great conversation about it, even if we don't necessarily agree on all the beats. And I think that that's another thing of like sometimes people are like, oh, like I don't like X book because of this. And everyone's like, no, you have to love it. You gotta love it. And you're like, okay.
I was kind of like that. I think I'm still kind of
You're
like
still
that.
like that.
Whatever.
Really?
But, like, when
I won't ever tell you what I'm reading.
but when I was young, I was a really strange reader. Like I read The Fault in Our Stars when I was in 6th grade, and I like loved it so much. I thought it was like the best book ever. And so I like organized my class to like all go see the movie together. Have I told you this story?
No.
But I was like, you have to read the book first, and that's the only way you can come to the movie. And my best friend, who was my next door neighbor, her name is Remka, she didn't read the book, and I was like, Remka, you can't come to the movie. And it was like the meanest thing I've ever done, I think. But we're still good friends.
11-year-old you was
Have you ever
really strict.
apologized?
Oh,
No.
actually, ooh, that's a good question.
This next segment is for Remka.
It's fine.
For you.
She went to Harvard,
Oh,
so
she's a reader.
she's
Yeah,
a reader.
she's a
She's
real
a reader.
reader.
So I'm surprised
She's a
she didn't
reader.
read it.
I feel like that happens on Book Talk so much, though. People are like, this is my 40th book for the week. And you're like, how do you have the time to do that? Or even just with genre. Like, I feel like, I don't know, like if I'm ever reading a romance book, I will not tell anyone that I'm reading a romance book. Because it just feels like, especially when you like, you know, like you work in a bookstore and there's people that are like literary geniuses that read all these like cool, introspective books and like that are so like intense and amazing and like, you know, the classics, but you're like, I don't know, a fun little rom-com is like fun. Like it's cute. Like I enjoy it. But I think and it's not even necessarily judgment because no one has ever told me that I can't. It's more of just that like fear of like, do people think I'm real for that? Like, do I sound like I'm making this up? Or like, do people think I'm actually like an accomplished reader, you know?
I get that. I totally get that. Like if you were to say like, oh, I read 50 books and someone's like, whoa. And you were like, they were all textbooks. Like you'd be like, wow.
Wow.
But if you were like, they were all romance novels, like, I don't know, maybe you would get a different reaction. But I do feel like romance is such a vessel for like deeper conversations. And I think that's also something that I've really enjoyed highlighting over the last year. It's just like the stories that can be woven in. I love when there's a thread of heartbreak and a thread of something deeper, but then there's also this thread of like the romance is often the hope. Like, and I think we all kind of need that.
Back to what we were saying about joy in the world.
Everybody needs a
Bringing
little
it full
joy in the
circle.
world. Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think that I totally understand what you're saying, but also read that romance book. Like,
And and I will.
yeah, the people who know.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I feel like I haven't read a comfort read ever. Like, do you have any suggestions for like just good like chill books to like?
You said good chill books.
I was
and
gonna say
like,
chill is where you lost me.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe
Yeah.
not chill, but like books that are hopeful. I just read the book Rejection, which is like it's really funny, but it's like really, really bleak. And I feel like I need to have like a little tincture for the soul, but I have no idea where to start.
I love Mindy Kaling. She's an incredible author. I mean, and like a writer and an actor and all the things, but I really do love her books. She has one, I think it's Why Not Me?
I've heard of that. Yeah.
So funny.
Are these novels?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like shorter, but like they're not novellas. I would still call them novels, but it's a lot about her life and like her experiences. So it's not like a memoir, but it talks about her. But I think that they're fun and they maybe have a little bit more of like what you might enjoy, but also it's like really fun and there's a lot of hope, and like it's almost like reading from someone's perspective. It's like where we are right now, like what the next like 20 years could bring and how you have no idea, but like it's exciting too. It's like scary but exciting. Yeah.
Neema, you just read, I don't know if you actually finished it, but you read the 20th anniversary edition of Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah.
And I know that there's like an afterword in it that's like Charlie as like a adult.
I'm too scared to read the extra letter.
Oh, you haven't read it?
No.
Okay, so I'm wondering, because that book is pretty upsetting.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if that's a similar thing where it's like, I don't know, he's like better now. I assume.
I hope
hopefully,
he
yes.
is, but I feel like I was scared to read the like last letter from Charlie in the event that he wasn't better, because I feel like that would have just kind of like destroyed my hope for him and like how his future turns out. So I don't know. I didn't know what the vibe was gonna be, so I was like, I'm not gonna read it. I don't want to upset myself. I'm just gonna pretend that everything works out.
Yeah.
Like if Sally Rooney ever made like a follow up for Normal People, I'll be like, no, I don't want to find out that they don't end up together. In my head, they do. Like
Valid.
So just to like loop back to your acting career a little bit, I'm an avid listener of the podcast Script Notes, which is about screenwriting because I want to be a writer. On one of the episodes, what's that?
You are a writer.
Thank you. But on one of the episodes, they interview Greta Gerwig, who obviously did like Barbie and Little Women. And she said that she believes scripts should be complete literary documents that can be read and enjoyed. And I'm curious, as an actor, do you approach scripts as a reader as well, where you're just trying to like enjoy the story, or do you like primarily view it as kind of this blueprint to inform your performance?
That's a good question. I feel like I read books very similarly to the way I read scripts the same way I read books, but that's also because I've always kind of read books in a way where, and I think that's maybe Meisner, is a lot of the things that you're doing is like how you would hold like a coffee cup and like how you imagine things to be real, but with your eyes open. And so we do a lot of like that muscle memory of the mind of like how heavy it is and all this stuff. And that was how I was classically trained. And so I feel like even before that, though, I've always had a really big imagination and I've always been really fascinated with details. And I've always been like super dramatic. So my mom would say that. Sidebar, she's not going to want me to tell this story, but it's fine. Because it's funny. I promise it's funny. It's not like a sad story. She's a great mom. When I was in like second grade, I was on the monkey bars and this girl like wrapped her legs around me. We were like friends, but she was like just trying to play. But we fell and she fell on my leg and it hurt. And I cried like really hard. And my mom, because she's a teacher, she was there. And she was like, oh my gosh, like, you know, you're okay. Like, all right, get up. And she like brushed me off. And then she was like, okay, like, you know, recess is over, so go back to class. And I was like, Mom, I think I broke my leg. And she was like, you're okay. Like, take a deep breath. Like, she thought I was embarrassed. And so she was like, take a deep breath. Like, you're okay. Like, I could take like a couple steps, but I was like limping. And she was like, you're okay. And then I got back to my class and my face turned like blue. And I went to the hospital and I had in fact broken my shin. And my mom made me literally walk it off. Like a teacher offered to carry me. And she was like, she's fine. She was like, Anneliese, get up, like you're fine. And so I literally hold it against her because now like with my other siblings, like anytime they even like are like, ow, she's like, are you okay? Like, we can go to the hospital, it's okay. Like that was like
she's traumatized now.
Yeah, she's traumatized. And it's like so funny now. But yeah, so I've always been really dramatic. My mom did not believe me when I said that I thought I broke my leg because she was like just wipe your tears. Like, you're crying, you always cry. Like, you're fine.
Oh my God.
What was your question?
Just like, do you, when you read a script, whether it be for like an audition or something, or like for pleasure, I don't know if people really read scripts for pleasure, but like, do you?
I actually do.
I do too, but we're writers. But
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense.
anyways,
I like it.
do you, I don't know, can you enjoy that document as it is, or do you just kind of use it to like gauge interest for, you know, maybe wanting to audition for it or whatever?
Yeah, I can read them for pleasure, I think, in terms of like, just even if I'm not right for any of the roles, sometimes I'll just read a script because I really like the story. But I think that's because, and that's what I was trying to get at, is things have always like jumped off the page for me. And when I read, I can almost picture the movie in my mind. It's always been a movie as a kid. And now it's like, oh, maybe it'd be a series. But it was always a movie. And I could really like see it happening to people. And so I think that I even watch movies with a really like, not necessarily critical eye, but I almost see the script on the other side of the wall. And so I think of when I'm watching a show, I'm like, oh, I wonder like why the actor said the line this way. I wonder what the blocking looked like, and if the end of their sentence had a period or like an exclamation point. And like, I'm the worst person to watch TV with or like watch anything with, because I'm like, oh man, I'm like, that was like a really cool line delivery. I wonder like if it was written that way or if this was like the actor just playing with it. So I think I've always been that way. So reading scripts and reading books, like I think I'm really drawn to something when I see it jump off the page. And that's when it's like really fun. So I think it's always fun. It's always a pleasure to read scripts, but I definitely look at them as a way of like, how does this jump off the page and like, what would this look like?
Are there any books that you read either as a kid or recently that have not been adapted into a movie or show that you really want to see adapted?
My gosh, I just finished Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors. It's really good. I think you would like it. That was the first book that came to mind when you were asking for like a good book to read, but it's not chill, and it deals with a lot of heavier things like addiction and sibling loss, and so it is heavy, but I think by the end, like it's one of those like everybody's kind of like dealing with things, like nobody's perfect, and like kind of like embracing the fact that like all of these siblings, like they were all trying to be perfect for one another and hide the things that they were dealing with. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say, is that they, like by the end of the story, it was kind of like, oh, like we all have shit, and like it's okay to lean on other people, and it's okay to like say like, this is what I'm struggling with, like I need you to help me with it. And so I thought it was really beautiful, and it was a really great book. I tried to listen to the audiobook, and I'm not a good multitasker, and so I couldn't get into it, and I thought that it was maybe the book. It was not. It was the fact that it was an audiobook. And so I read the ebook, and I was so happy I did, because it was so good. But yeah, I would love to see that adapted, probably into a series. But I think what's hard is that the four sisters lived in different places. Like one is in London and one is in New York and one was in LA, and so I don't really know, and I feel like that was important in the beginning, and so I feel like I don't know writers how to make that make sense, and how to be able to see it like come together while still keeping the integrity and the essence of like why they're in different places.
We can talk about it if we can get the rights.
Yeah. I'll work on it.
Have you ever worked on adapting something, Neema?
I've never tried to. There's definitely been books that I've read where I was like, this would make such a good movie, or like this would be an insanely like amazing show, but also like I'll look it up and like the rights have already been like purchased.
But that's a great sign. I feel like I at first was like, oh, like I couldn't compete with these like huge studios. Like, oh God. But I felt like it was a sign of like my taste and your taste, that the things that you're like, oh, this would be a fantastic like movie or a fantastic series, have already been optioned.
Yeah.
Like I think that that's a really good sign that you're very in tune with like what's popular and what would adapt well. But yeah, no, I'm
curious to know, have you read the Sweet Magnolia books?
I did. The first book was our book of the month pick this past February. But yeah, they're so good. I love Cheryl Woods as the author. She's super, super talented, of course, but like also just really kind. And I ended up interviewing her for the book club, and the stories that she had for like her whole career, I was like, oh my gosh, like she's had such a cool journey, like going from like journalism, and then she was a TV critic, and then she was writing romance, and she's written over 150 books.
Oh my
like,
God.
this is super cool. Not me. I was like, that's so cool. I wish I could write one. So yeah.
Have you drawn on it at all for like your portrayal of Annie and like how you envision her as a character?
I didn't read them until after the first season, because I knew that they had said that we were just kind of going to take like the world and the characters, and then like go from there, because in the books they're in like one point in their lives, and then in the series they're kind of at another point. And when we really see Annie in the books, I think it's book 5, she's much older. She's like in her 30s or 40s. And so I was like, I just feel like I want to channel like who she is at like 17, because we don't really see her a lot in the books that way. And knowing that they were going to be a bit different, I was like, okay, I'll wait. But then now that it's been a while, I was like, oh, I really want to read these. So I did. Yeah.
What in your guys' opinion is a good adaptation? Like, I don't mean like examples of good adaptations, but like what makes an adaptation a good adaptation?
Okay, I think it is like, I was kind of saying, the essence of like the story. Like if we have a villain and then in the adaptation they're not a villain, like I'd be a little upset as a reader. And I feel like, so it's maybe like the characters feeling like their essence, like the qualities that make them are there. Like if they're super funny, and then in the adaptation I don't laugh once, I'm like, oh, like this was the best part of this character, is that they like had a great sense of humor. So I think it's maybe things like that where I feel like that would be important to me for an adaptation. That I guess it would be the tone, if that's, the word that would encompass that, is that the tone of the characters in the world and the journey that they're going to go on is like the same.
Yeah. Do you know if people who are like super fans of the Sweet Magnolias books are they happy with the show? I'm not really like part of that world at all.
Think so. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, the first 3 books are like the first, or not the first 3 women, but like the 3 main women. The first book is Maddie, the second book is Helen, and the third book is Dana Sue, if I got the order right. And so then our showrunner just took them and was like, what a beautiful ensemble. And so that was like why they couldn't just follow like the first book, or it was like you kind of are weaving in all of these stories into the first season and beyond. I feel like, having read the books, that I'm super happy with the adaptation. I was like, I think it was really beautifully done, is beautifully done. But I don't know. I'm really bad. I feel like it's like people are like, I don't read the comments. I try not to. I do. But I haven't seen like from readers anyone say like, oh, like this isn't what I wanted or something. Yeah.
Are you the kind of person who like you could get a million positive comments and then one negative one, and that one negative one like ruins your day?
For sure. At least for an hour. At least for an hour. My boyfriend knows like I'm the worst. Like it just makes me like mad, especially if it's wrong. Like I remember after the first season, somebody commented something about how like the audience knows the character better than like I would. And I was just like, that's just like not true.
Like that's objectively wrong.
Yeah. I was like, that's not even like an opinion. That's just like false. And so I was like, I wasn't going to respond, because I never respond to like mean people, because that's what they want you to do, or that's not what they want you to do. If it's a DM, sometimes I will respond and then they delete it and they like cease to exist. And I'm like, see, you never thought I would see this. And that's why you said something super awful. Like, okay, guys, like, why don't we just not say something super awful?
You're responding. That's crazy.
That's me being a little chaotic. But no, I'm the person who I definitely, for like an hour, I'm going to stew on it, especially when it's objectively wrong. And I just like talk about it. Like my boyfriend and I will be making dinner. This is where he comes in. We're making dinner. And I'll just be like, He's like, what? Like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I just don't know why they had to say that. Like, what? And he's like, you're still thinking about that? I'm like, yeah, I am. And this is why. Like, I'll talk about it for a good hour. And then I'll be like, it's fine. I'll just like let this person be wrong. It's fine. Or it's like, they don't know anything. It's fine. I'll have a good cry and then I'll be done.
So Anneliese, now that we're coming to the end of our podcast here, do you have 3 book recommendations for us today?
I have so many. The first that comes to mind is probably The Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors, which I feel like a lot of people may have already read. So my next one that I think recently came out would be Daughter of Daring. It's about Helen Gibson, the first stunt woman in Hollywood. It's really cool.
Wait, the first what woman in Hollywood?
The first stunt woman.
Stunt woman.
Yeah. Which I just think is like, I don't know. I love things like that. That's also like His Girl Hollywood by Maureen Lee Lanker. Like I really love reading about like things set on like a film set or like in Hollywood, even if like, I don't know, some people are like, oh, I can't, like it's too much. I'm like, it's never enough. And then our next book of the month for Who to Judge is Tell Me How You Really Feel by Betty Cayouette. Betty is a really good friend of mine, and this is her sophomore release, and I just think everything that she writes is fantastic. So I definitely think that comes out May 6th that everybody should read.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thanks, Anneliese. Before we go, do you want to tell us anything that you're working on or any things that you're excited about?
Well, I leave for filming Sweet Magnolias tomorrow, which is crazy. I'm going a little bit early. My boyfriend's going to like help me get set up, and we're celebrating his birthday with his family in Georgia. So we'll be there early, but we are leaving tomorrow, which is like so wild. But I also sent out my first pitch deck like last week for a project.
Gosh,
so
congratulations.
thank you.
That's awesome.
I would love to get into the world of like producing and bringing books to life, especially because I feel like I just have such like a what is the word I'm looking for? Honor is the first thing that comes to mind. Like I really honor the words as they're written, and even like for our show, which is a whole other thing. But like I'm very much like, okay, this was written like this. Like I want to talk to the showrunner. I want to talk to the writer. Like what we're going for here. Like it's important to me that like the words as written are respected. Like like if it's like, okay, we're gonna improv here, like I will. But I'm very much like, okay, this is how something was written. And my auditions, I love to be like word perfect and like play within the words, but it's like they wrote this for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, this is how this story unfolds. But yeah, so I'm excited. Like with books, I feel the same way. Like the author wrote this scene a certain way because this was like super important, and so I feel like I really value the story and making sure that it aligns with like the way a reader reads it and what they take from it. So I don't know. I feel like it would be fun. It would be really nice and like a cool, hopefully like natural transition into doing something more with my book club. But yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was so fun.
Cool.
If you'd like more information from us, check out the show notes or send us an email at podcast@villagewell.com. You can always order the books mentioned through our website. This episode of the Village Well podcast is brought to you by Village Well Books and Coffee. It was produced and edited by Josh Stretton Carlson, and our theme music is from Noah Vickland. See you next week, and keep reading.